Good evening, everyone. What's happening? What's going on? This your girl Tiffany coming through here live in the Fed. Tonight interview, I want to talk about the rapper Scarlett. And that's an interview. Well, tonight's show, I want to talk about the rapper Scarlett and her interview that she did on Vlad TV. And I want to get into the concept about how we mask our trauma with aggression. So please make sure you like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. So this past week, I came across the interview on YouTube that Scarlett did. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know much about her or the other rapper. What's her name? Ice Spice or whatever her name is. I don't really keep up with a lot of these new rappers like that. Okay. But I happened to see some of her videos and she's very talented. So Scarlett's form of rap is the old school New York rap, like how it was back in the 90s and early 2000s. So her inspiration is Onyx and DMX. So she kind of brings back that old school style, which I think is pretty dope because now you're showing the authenticity of New York rap. So I think what she's doing is great and phenomenal on that level. And she's very talented. But there's been so many backlash and criticism about her style of rap and about how she acts from people who may not understand. So I said, well, let me do some research on this. Let me find out something. So I seen the interview, and as I was watching the interview, I noticed a lot of things. So she did an interview with Vlad, and I'm not a fan of Vlad TV. I don't like him. I'm not a fan of his, but I'm watching the interview. Mm, wow. Mm, hold on. Yeah, I'm starting to tear up a little bit. I'm watching this girl's interview. Mm, mm. Wow. It was very emotional all around. Seeing this young lady get on Vlad TV, he has, he like to ask questions as far as like what's the beginning of each individual's lives and things of that nature. So she was born in the Bronx, New York, but she went to different places. And she happened to go to Philadelphia. Now, her story is just really heartbreaking for me because her mother was married to her father, who happened to be Nigerian. And the reason why her father married her mother was because that was the only way he can get citizenship here in America. So I guess he was having a hard time trying to get citizenship here in America. And the only way he was able to get over here was to marry her mother. So he married her mom. And he wasn't as active in her life. And so her mother was going through a lot of struggle raising her and her siblings. But here's the catch. When she was 12 years old, her mother got hit by a car. So they took her mother to the hospital. Her legs were amputated. But a few days after her legs were amputated, she died. And when I listened to this young lady, now this young lady is only 22 years old. When I listened to her, and Vlad asked her, well, how do you feel about your mother's death? How did it make you feel? She's like, I felt like I was responsible because I wasn't there. So after her mother passed, she ended up staying with her aunt. She ended up staying with her aunt, which is her mama's sister. But, whew, mm-mm-mm. Hold on, I'm trying to compose myself here because it's getting very emotional. She lives with her aunt, thinking she can trust her auntie. Now this is supposed to be her mom's sister, but the boyfriend was molesting her. And I'm not gonna go into all the details, but she was being molested and sexually violated. And her aunt did nothing to protect her. Then she go to the extent to talk about how she was drugged at that age, around 13 years old. She ended up going into foster care. Well, before she ended up in the foster care system, she went out to party. I think she said she was around 15, 16 years old. She went out somewhere and party with some friends or whatnot. And she came home late. So she said she was knocking on the door and nobody wanted to answer the door. Her brother came to the door, but he wouldn't let her in. So her brother was getting into an argument because he wanted some money from her. This is her older brother. Now, if you guys watch the interview, if you pay attention, she has a little lump on her lip, like a big lump on her lip, like it's right up at the top of her lip. Well, she said that the name Scar Lip came from that scar on her lip because her brother punched her. He punched her so hard that she had to get stitches. And it would take a week for her to fully recover from it. Then from there on, when she tried to get some help, and of course children's service was involved, they said now one, two things gonna happen. Either she was gonna have to leave or her brother was gonna have to leave. And the aunt said she had to go. So the aunt put her out. And now this little girl was going from foster home to foster home to foster home and dealing with constant abuse. But she didn't get her opportunity until she started making videos on TikTok. And she had some song called Gizzly Goblin Gizzy or whatever it's called. I don't know the name of the song. But yeah, that video went viral on TikTok. Okay. So that opened up doors of opportunity for her as an artist to start working with artists in the mainstream. All right. So now when I look at this young lady's interview, it tells me a lot that she is still dealing with trauma. She is dealing with so much trauma. She dealing with so much trauma because the way she sits and how she answered Vlad's question, she's like, yeah, you can see it in her. And when people sit back and make fun of this young lady, not knowing the backstory, That's the problem. First of all, let me say this. A lot of females that I know that's from New York or that I have interacted with, most of them come from the hood. Most of them come from the hood. Not too many of them come from the suburbs. They come from the hood. And a lot of those girls, a lot of those females, they act pretty much like her. Or they carry on that type of similar pattern of aggression. Because now I ain't never been to New York, but just from knowing by again my interaction and doing research, New York is a pretty rough city to live in. The cost of living is extremely high. And then just think about it. You got Manhattan, which is downtown, right? You got Wall Street. You got all these billionaires, all these bankers over here that's living wealthy, living in all the condominiums. But when you leave from downtown, that's where you experience poverty. You got a lot of the local blacks that's living in the projects, or they live in apartments where they're around a lot of they're around trash. They have to pay high rent because they dealing with slumlords, and it's so much they witness. It's like the people from New York has that hustle mentality. They have a hustle mentality. A lot of them do. The ones that's coming from the hood, they got that serious hustle mentality. And a lot of them have witnessed so much shit and right before their eyes. A lot of them had to get involved in shit just to protect themselves on the streets. That's how rough New York is for them. And if you don't believe me, talk to somebody that's from New York. They will tell you the similar stories. Yeah, the streets is rough for them. So I can guarantee you that those who came from the hood, they witnessed a lot of shit. I'm talking about witness violence in front of their faces. Witness somebody getting killed. Witness somebody getting robbed. Or been a victim of that themselves. So when I see this young lady and how she comes off, that's how majority of the females from New York, they pretty much carry themselves like that. Especially they come from the hood because the environment they come from. But anyways, when I see this girl, I see somebody who's traumatized. I see a young lady who's traumatized. This girl never got healing. She never got any help that she received. She never had a stable family. Somebody that really care about her, that really loves her. And the only way she was able to get away from her situation of dealing with poverty, dealing with the chaos, dealing with depression, violence, was to get into rap music. She mentioned how she was in and out of foster homes, how she would get into fights at school and lash out because of all the things that she'd been through. But people sit back and make fun of black women in general, or talk about how black women try to act so masculine and acting too damn aggressive and not knowing the story. Well, let me tell you, when you're traumatized, when you're traumatized, a lot of times it gonna cause you to be aggressive. Excuse me. When you're traumatized, it will cause you to become aggressive. My bad, y'all. It's like when you have a dog, let's just take a dog for example. If that dog been abused so much, right? That dog gonna become traumatized. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, if that dog been abused so much, he's gonna become traumatized. Why? Excuse me. So why is that dog gonna become traumatized? Because he witnessed so much abuse. And when he witnessed so much abuse, that's how he's going to lash out. That's his defense mechanism. So it's going to take a lot for a dog to actually earn a trust, especially a trust of a human being. So put that into similar perspective. When it comes to a woman, especially, and she's been traumatized, she's going to act out of aggression. It'll be, you can only take so much. So when I see this young lady and how she talk, her mannerism, she's acting out of aggression to cover up her trauma, to cover up what she been through. And I could tell she wasn't too comfortable discussing her situation, but she did. This girl has never got any help. She never received help. She never received therapy. She did not come from a loving family. After her mother passed, she was broken. Now she has long ways to go. And hopefully she becomes successful as an artist. I hope she get to the level that she needs to be. But right now she has to work on her trauma. And for us as a people, we have to work on our mental health. See, you can make all the money in the world, but that's not enough to help you. Money can bring satisfaction, but it does not guarantee happiness. It won't guarantee happiness at all. You hear plenty of stories, especially when it comes to these celebrities. They being they make all the money, they get all the fame, but they are in unhappy relationships. They battling with depression. Tina Turner just passed away. But Tina Turner come from the hardship of the South. She come from either Tennessee or Mississippi. I think she's from Mississippi originally. And anybody know about the history of Mississippi when it comes to black folks? Yeah. She experienced a lot of trauma. And she passed that trauma on down to her children. Now, later on in life, she started to get involved in studying Buddhism. She got involved in studying Buddhism, right? She moved out the country, moved to Switzerland. But she was passing on the trauma, and then she got involved with somebody else who was dealing with trauma. So when you got two people who are messed up, they both suffering from trauma, and they in a relationship with each other, and they both don't go through the process of healing, that's a problem. Ike Turner and she end up being on drugs. And come to find out, a couple of her kids was on drugs. And one of them committed suicide, if I'm not mistaken. One of them ended his life. The other one just died not too long ago, 5 months before she passed. We don't know what goes on in other people's lives. Okay? So we don't know what was going on in this young lady's life. People just thinking that she is coming out being one of those belligerent ass rappers, making belligerent music and all. But nobody really knows. People was making fun of Rod Wave, talking about his music is so depressing. But do you know why he's making that type of music? Do you know why his music may sound depressing? That's his way to vent. That's his therapy. That's his therapy to talk about whatever goes on in his life. Same way with this young lady. Music is her therapy. And that was her one-time shot. That's her one-time shot. Music was her one-time shot and opportunity. She said, hey, if I start becoming a rapper, I can get up out of this. I don't have to look back. I don't have to go through this again. That's enough for somebody at the age of 22 and what they had to experience. Baby girl didn't have no mother figure. She didn't have nobody to teach her what it means to be a woman. And that's most black women. Yeah, we might have our mama in the household, but sometimes our mother can be crappy. I'm just going to keep it real. Our mothers can be crappy as hell. Our mothers can be full of shit. Just because our mama's there don't always mean that they are mothers. Just because our mamas are there does not always mean they are being mothers. And I'm going to say what Umar Johnson said. So lately I've been listening to him, besides all the situation about the school and all the other shit. But he makes a lot of valid points. And this point he made, he said a lot of black women, a lot of black girls don't have black women they can look up to as role models. They don't have black women mentors. A lot of them don't. That is honesty. That is 100% true. A lot of us don't have black women mentors that we can look up to. So now you left out here trying to figure out the world on your own. You trying to figure out, well, how do I navigate through life as a woman, especially as a black woman? How do I deal with the world when I have to go through racism and sexism? How do I survive? And we don't understand. We don't understand what certain people go through. But yet and still, we look at them and think they just being this way just because. And we don't know the backstory. And so there was so much criticism about this young lady because of her aggression. Oh, she acting way too aggressive for a female. What do you think? If somebody that's been traumatized and has been through a lot of shit, been molested multiple times, been drugged, how in the hell you think they supposed to act? How in the hell do you think they supposed to act if they've been molested and drugged and been taken advantage of and have not been shown any love? How are they supposed to act? They supposed to be the most civilized individual? They supposed to act in a civilized manner? Are they supposed to act in a civilized manner? They supposed to act like nothing is happening. They supposed to just walk around with a smile on their face and forget about all the traumatic situation that they was going through. They supposed to just forget about it, right? They supposed to just forget about the shit they was going through. Well, that's only going to make matter worse. Faking it, acting like it doesn't bother you, that makes matter worse. That messes you up psychologically. And then she mentioned that one of her foster parents was taking care of her biological children and not really caring about her or the other kids. They were just a paycheck. That's all they was. They was a paycheck. They didn't care about her. She didn't care about her or the other children. She was just a paycheck. And she said there was time that she had to run away just to get away from that. So in order for us to get through our traumatic situation, we put on the mask of aggression. We put on the mask of toughness because we don't want anybody to see what's really going on with us and how we really feel. We don't want anybody to see what's really on the inside and what we're thinking. We want to cover up with the mask. But you can only wear that mask for so long, and eventually you'll have to take the mask off because you can't hold it in forever. You cannot hold it in forever. So we can walk around here, act all gangster all we want to, act all tough, act all hood and shit. But it's really, we feel like it's no safe place for us to really talk about what we go through. So now you dealing with a case of being outcast. And that's what happened with this young lady. She was outcast. But this, what we have to deal with is black women. Oh, y'all too masculine. Y'all too mean. Y'all too evil. I wonder why. I wonder why we so this, why we so that. Do you ever look at the society that we living in? We are expected to put everybody else before us. We are expected to be the strongest individuals. And there's no room for us to be vulnerable. There's no room for us to just let our emotion out. So, well, where's the safe place for us? How can we be safe if we really not safe? Again, I ask, how can we be safe when we really not safe? If you out here in these streets, you gonna have to put on a mask. You gonna have to act just so you can survive. I say this all the time. There's three type of actors. Three type of actors. One that asks to be in control. One that asks to entertain. And the other one that asks to survive. Again, one that asks to be in control, one that asks to entertain, and the other one that asks to be the one that acts as a survival skill. But what do they all have in common? They are wearing a mask. They are wearing a mask to mask out their trauma. That's what they have in common. So when you in these streets, you have to wear the mask. You gotta act like You gotta act like nobody can push you over the limit. You gotta move through the area or through your neighborhood, through your block, like you untouchable. You gotta maneuver around these streets in order not to get got or not to be a victim. You gotta wear the mask if you really want to survive. Because you can't show off your vulnerability out here in the streets like that. Because you got other people that's looking to prey on your vulnerability, that's looking to prey on your weakness. Especially if you are a woman, there's somebody looking to prey on your weakness, and they not gonna come to you with aggression. That's the kicker. They won't come to you with aggression. They will approach you in a very polite manner, in a respectable way, and make you think that they are for your best interest. And they only to looking to take control of you and take advantage. And there are people who are very good at putting on that facade. Then by the time you allow them to come into your space and you trust them enough, that's when the true color comes out. And once that true color comes out, it's hard to get away. Now you're trapped in a predicament. You're trapped in a situation. You have no exit strategy at this point. So it's like you're forced to deal with it. That's the cruel part about dealing with humans and being a human, is the animalistic behavior, the animal nature. That's the cruel part about it. It's the animal nature. So it's a cold world. It's a cold world we're living in. But what makes it so messed up is the people that is supposed to be the ones that's the closest to you. They're the main ones. They're the main ones that's more than likely going to hurt you more than anybody else. They're the main ones that's more than likely that's going to hurt you more than anyone else. Yeah, you grew up with these people. Yeah, they your blood relatives. You think you know individuals, but you really don't know them. You think you know them, but you don't know them. You don't know their intentions. You don't know what's in their mind. You only know based on what they show you, based on what you perceive, but you really don't know a person. Hell, it's a lot of things we don't even know about our parents. We think we know our parents, but we don't really know the other half. We think we know our grandparents, but we don't know the other half. We think we know our siblings, but we don't know the other half. Mm. Yo, it's deep. Yeah, so if y'all get a chance, watch her interview. Watch her interview with an open mind. Watch her interview with an open ears. Watch what she has to say. That girl was crying for help without saying, I need help. But you could tell from her body language, from the tone of her voice, from her eye contact, she needs help. She needs help. She spoke on how kids made fun of her about her lip, saying that she had herpes. And that was not the case. That was not the case. She has to suffer that trauma. And she has never received an apology from her own brother, her biological brother, someone that's supposed to protect her, someone that's supposed to be like her mentor, somebody who's supposed to see when you have an older brother and a younger sister, right? That younger sister, 9 times out of 10, she's going to develop a relationship with her older brother. She look up to her brother as her protector. She look up to her brother as her teacher. She look up to her brother as the person that can guide her. She look up to him as her provider outside of her father. But when you have that brother that lays hands on you, all the trust is out the window. All the trust is out the window. When you have that brother that betrays you as your sister, when your brother betrays you, you no longer look at him the same. Your trust goes out the window. Your love is not the same. Y'all become total strangers. You become a total stranger. I want to leave off with this. See, when the father is not around, it does a damage. When the father is not around with his family, it does a damage. But when the mother is not around, that's a collateral damage. When the father is not around, it does a damage. But when the mother is not present, it's a collateral damage. It's a collateral damage when you don't have the mother figure in the household. You might as well be lost. You might as well be like an orphan child. I'm just putting it out there. You might as well be an orphan. When you don't have your father in the household, the family falls apart, but they still hanging on. When the father's not in the household, the family does fall apart in a way, but they still hanging on at the same time. They still hanging on their branch. They still hanging on the branch of the tree because the father is not in the household. When the mama ain't in the household, that whole tree might as well collapse. The whole tree you might as well not have a tree if mama ain't in the house. because you're not going to have too many fathers raising children on their own. Or 9 times out of 10, the father may not be around or ever come around. So now the tree collapsed because mama ain't there. And daddy ain't there. The only thing you got left is that branch of the tree. The leaves done fell off, but you got that branch you holding on to. You got that branch you holding on to. So just think about what I'm saying. Just think about it. Take that information into consideration. Anyways, that's my thought for the evening about this young lady. And as I said before, I wish her the best. I hope she remains successful. And I hope she can get past her trauma. And I hope she can get the help that she needs. And I hope that she can find people that's in her corner that are willing to help her. That's willing to guide her. Not just some random people that she done met in the industry, but people that really knows what it's like, people who have been through similar situations that she's been through. Because again, this girl ain't got no family. This girl ain't got no solid foundation. And she needs that. So anyhow, this your girl Tiffany. And I'm logging off saying peace and power elevation be to all of you. And I thank y'all for watching and tuning in. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and check out my previous videos. Make sure you share the video. And if you have any comments, you can go ahead and leave a comment at the comment section and I will try to get to those comments as much as possible. But until then, shout out to the new subscribers. Thank y'all for coming through. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. And thank you guys for supporting this channel. Real talk. All right. Be safe and peace.